Can you actually believe this scam? This is the biggest humiliation. This is like a dog pooping in the street and getting poop everywhere. Boris Johnson's knighted list when he wanted to get his own dad knighted. After lying in Parliament and being the ultimate humiliation of the country and lawfully proroguing Parliament, now Mog has got a knighthood, of all people, who's unlawfully on GB News. Well, Savile had a knighthood, and see what happened to Savile. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, Sir Mog since Wednesday. You know, I've actually been thinking more about this unlawfulness, right? So, 38 Degrees, the website, and some petitioners, they've been spray painting these barcodes on the streets around London for petitions using the Town and Country Planning Act 1991 and 2007. It's this like Class C combined with Class E. It's a painted sign with a sign that uses an enactment for petitions. But the council have been going around cleaning them off, right? I'm currently making some stickers to help Stop ULEZ campaign, because they're doing like a rally, like a protest. I'm going to help them promote it. And the thing is, the reason why you've got the exemption and why the council can't intervene, there are certain laws where a council or the police claim they can obliterate certain signs or obliterate certain adverts, but not these ones because they're protected. Now, the thing with the council is this. You might say, well, the council chamber itself is using political rights because it's a government authority, it's a council, right? You know, like MP's immunity or Lord's immunity or a councillor. But this is the thing, right? There's one important thing in all this, right? And that is that the council, once elected, the council is there for all, even people who didn't vote. It's there to maintain the streets and function unbiasedly. The public toilets are there for everyone. The streets are maintained for everyone. The petitions committee there is for everyone. It's actually, even though it's a political party and it's going to do certain things with the law and in governance that won the election, and then you have like control of the council or an opposition, as its public functions, it's unbiased. And the thing with that is that a councillors and the council legal department and the street cleaners who are employed by the council, the reason they're not allowed to remove political material is because they've got the referee position. And when you are wanting to get things put through government in petitions, elections or referendums, you're the one using the political power, the casework. Your elected MP is also meant to represent you impartially if you do petitions and casework to government. Now, the problem is that these kind of like supposed referee people, position unbiased, they all have party affiliations, you know. In football, the referee is... Can you imagine if a referee had a referee shirt on, but he had like a conservative badge on it, a Tory badge? Or if you had a referee that had like a Labour badge on it? If you had a football team, you know, if the Tories took on Labour in soccer, in football, right? And the Tories were wearing blue and the Labour were wearing red in a football match, the referee's meant to be impartial. You can't have a referee that had the Conservative badge on him, right? Because that would be breaking impartiality. And if you had a Labour referee with a Labour badge on, now this is the problem. That's why you've got rules, certain rules. Now, I know for sure, for certain, that councils and the police have been removing political material that's protected because you're actually opposing those parties, and you're opposing the number of people in a certain cause is equal to the number of people in a certain voting in status, right? So when you are voting in elections, right? When you vote in an election, you have so many versus the other people. Even once they're elected, even when they're elected, that means they've got the job. That means they've got the job to represent you, and they've got the job to work. Now, how Labour and Tories want to manage the public toilets is up to them, but you've got a right to use the toilet, whether you're taking a pee or worse, right? And you've got a right to access it. Now, like, they might say they want to charge you 10p to get into the toilet, and another party might say that the toilets are free, like in Barnsley bus station, right? But firstly, elections are to be free. So they can't charge you for elections because it said in the right to petition all elections should be free. So they can't make a rule up to say that they're going to charge you. In government, there's certain rules they can't make up, like, you know, taking his rights away, which is what the World Health Organization is trying to do, but the ministers are going to stand aside and let them do it when they can't. Same with a lot of other things to do with freedoms. This is playing by the rule book. The referee can even break the rules, right? Once they're elected, they do have affiliations, and there are certain things that those people are wanting to do in their rulemaking and in their management. But even once they're elected, the thing is, the right to petition is the permanent right to... It's like these lobbyists, right? Even once they're elected to the job, right? To the job. To get a job working there. Now, it doesn't matter what the party affiliation is. If you want to let them do what they want to do, you can, right? And they've got certain priorities, but the majority of people who elected them in, right? They elected the preferred party. But all the time, the whole way through, you can outvote them in any one single matter that you want, or all matters. If you do petitions or complaints or whatever, you know, this is like with basically the same thing with Euro, with leaving the Euro. It doesn't matter what party was in government, it went to referendum, and they're still messing us about backwards and forwards. Now, when it comes to putting signs and notices up, right, we can do it, and they can't take them down. It's illegal. Now, if they're working in the government and they're doing government casework, and that's their job because they're elected to part-time, supposed to be working on our behalf, have they got immunity? Well, the thing is, there are certain... You're getting into the realm of this whole Trump affair with these impeachments, and it's meant to be, you know, the barons and lords can only be judged by their equals or fined by their equals. They can still be fined. You know, it's this whole... actually, funnily enough, in the Petition of Right, and in the 1700 Act of Settlement, it's talking about impeachments in Parliament. You can't actually ask for a party. If they get impeached by Parliament, the highest authority, you can't get a pardon. You can appeal all the way up, and you can get a pardon from a lower court. But if you, if you actually end up getting convicted by the Parliament, which I would put that equal to the Supreme Court now, but I still think that they're depriving us of processes. You can't actually get a pardon from it, which means that once the barons and lords have made a decision about themselves, it can't be pardoned. But we can, you know, if we make a petty crime, it can be pardoned by the barons and lords. The problem is that the referee rules, right? the right to petition says that you can't be prosecuted, right, charged or imprisoned. Doesn't mean to say that they can't stop you doing something or keep you off something. It says you can't be prosecuted. So that's what we're really arguing about with Extinction Rebellion and so forth. And then, like they were trying to keep them off HS2 when they were trying to stop them taking the trees down. I would liken it to, preserving the Darwin oak tree, because, ultimately, even if the council, if you can get enough bodies in front of it to stop them cutting it down, then they're being obstructed by the people, and they've got a case. And, to push those people out of the way, they're objecting and they're making physical action lawfully, and this is at the end of the day, they're getting these lawyers now trying to get £60,000 when it only... what the council should do, if you want to play by a proper fair rule book without any corporate influence or party political cheating, is you just pull the ward, because it costs £800. And why wouldn't you want to know what the ward thinks as a whole, fully? Not just asking them on Facebook. I'm talking about putting placards through the doors and saying have your say. Not it's just, letting people vaguely know about some consultation. And if you can find the link on the website, and if the website's working, we're talking about making a proper effort. Now, if the council aren't happy with the outcome of the, award referendum, they've only spent £800, but then they definitely know what the entire people think. And, if they want to challenge that, then I think that they should then go to the county. Say, right, we'll poll the whole county, because, we still, these contractors, a lot, the contractors now are saying, well, we want to challenge that ward, right? The applicant, the person who put planning permission in. And then you poll the county, and then, then if the county votes against it as well, then, I really don't think they should do it. Regardless if the Department of Transport really, really wants to put a tunnel through Stonehenge, after you've polled the ward and then polled the county, then they can poll the nation, surely. I don't see why, you should be paying £60,000 when it's cheaper to not only poll a ward, but poll a ward and poll a whole county. It doesn't make sense, because what's happening is you're having to pay £60,000. The people are having to try find £60,000, so one bloke in a wig in a court gets to decide what happens to their whole town. Otherwise, it's cheaper for a lawful process for everyone to decide what happens to their own town, and that's the difference. And you can put material up for that, and the council is meant to be impartial, now, and the police are meant to be impartial as well. Now, the thing is, with Mogg, all this cabinet nonsense, whether Mogg's in the cabinet or not, he's an MP. In those referendums and elections acts, the legislation that I've looked at, not the stupid Ofcom legislation that's, putting tenuous guidelines up there, the actual proper full legislation, it's got nothing to do with whether you're in the cabinet or not, and whether you've got, whether it's a full-time job on the cabinet. If you're an elected MP, how can that be not your main priority? Your main, MPs do get a salary. If you're doing an MP as your second job, or you don't consider it your main priority in life, why would you go and get elected to be an MP if it was more important making toothbrushes, or pumping oil out of Rosebank or whatever, or running a Somerset capital? If you wanted to be a man who ran Somerset Capital, why would you be an elected MP? Who wants an MP? Who wants to have an MP that their job isn't their primary and main focus in life and main vocation? No one, because that means that you'd have a part-time MP who aren't really that interested. I think that when Mogg's an elected MP, he serves his constituents an area in the county. Doesn't matter whether he works for the government or not. and whether he claims that he's not running for election again or not, he could potentially run for election again. And while he's an elected MP in a Conservative Tory party, he's a member of that party and represents that party as well. So, this whole GB News influence. Now, the thing is, when you are working for the government, it doesn't matter whether you're a commissioner, whether you're a councillor, whether you're an MP, or whether you're on the cabinet or not. You're there to serve the people and be there for the people. And you're not there to self-promote yourself. You're there to be answerable to questions. You're not there to guide or steer discussion with the people. Because the people the whole time, in any matter, have got a right to oppose the government, and with the majority of those people, in fact, the MP is not even supposed to be advising them on either one way or the other. The MP is not meant to be even advising his own electorate area whether they should or should not be opposing the local council in 15-minute cities or not. He's meant to inform them that if they are doing a 15-minute city, or if they're changing the law on a 15-minute city, or if the government are going to do this or that, he's meant to inform them on what's going on in the government and, let you know that he's there to see people and he's there to answer specific questions. He's not there to make discussion of what, even to really discuss, the pros and cons or the benefits and gains, anything that the government is doing, really, Moggs, his opinion, once he's elected, you're meant to go see him in the surgery, and then he's meant to represent you in Parliament. His personal own opinion on advising the public, and anytime you enter into a discussion, it's definitely his advice and his opinion. He's not meant to be pushing a section of the public or the public at large in any way. But yeah, he's on GB News doing that. Now, it's kind of like the council putting up signs and notices to influence people in, whether or not they should have cycle lanes or not. And councils have started doing that. Our council has been putting these the blueprint for the new town up, but selling it like a sales pitch, and really making it look like everyone supports it when they don't, because not even half the people turn out to vote, And that's the problem. The council can't continue to do that. If they do it, it's actually illegal and breaking the law, and they've got to be stopped from doing it. They don't just carry on. Even if you were to say there was some sort of immunity for councillors in the chamber or whatever, you stop them from doing that thing, And this is where I think it kind of rests around that with Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil. What the police don't seem to want to do is do site management on safety management without arrests. What they should be doing in political actions is site management without arrest and without charge, but you can still engage in site maintenance or site management. And that is really what's happening, what should be happening with the council. When the council are overstepping their position as, referee, whether it's a referee with a blue badge or a red badge, and they're starting to push their team, starting to look like it's more like they're actually wearing a Labour or, this is what Mogg's doing. And there needs to be an authority which intervenes and removes him. And that's the illegal part that makes it illegal. The enactment that he's using just basically says that, he shouldn't suffer legal consequences, protected from prosecution from the normal courts. It could be that he might be able to be prosecuted by the Lords, by other ministers, which is, sort of what happened to Boris Johnson. But they weren't going to prosecute Boris Johnson. They were just going to smack him on his hand and make him step down, which is what they do these days. But they can actually be impeached and that is something in the they can't actually appeal. I don't think they can appeal it. They're not meant to be able to appeal it. They've been messing around with the laws and switching the cup and ball. And I've actually realised now that one of the reasons why I think they've done that is because you can't actually ask for a pardon and there's nowhere to appeal to. If ministers, lords or ministers, commons or the lords get convicted by the parliament, really, they've got no higher appeal and they've got no pardon. They can't appeal it, really. That's what it says in the 1700 Act of Settlement, and I don't think they'll like that. I mean, look at Anningfield. He couldn't be prosecuted, in the Crown Court by the jury because they're not his equals. And that's one thing I think, another of the things I think they wanted to slip under the hood, and I've noticed they've done that a few times, like with the Magna Carta, which is meant to be one of David Cameron's favourite acts of law, which appears in the Petition of Right. And then they erased it and said, it's unnecessary, around 1968. And what I've realised, 1960, it's the part that says that you can't be depossessed of any money or your house or lands or whatever without legal due process. And it's funny that, it's around that time when they started bringing in all these more severe driving penalties after that time. And that probably would have stopped them from, taking your driving licence away from you. They used to, before 1968, they used to have, quite short bans, like a week or a month at a time. And then they went, after that 1968, another secret thing, and this is quite secret, if you cannot be metaphorically or symbolically punished something could be interpreted or understood as a punishment besides fines or community service or imprisonment, taking candy from a baby is a punishment. If there was a principle in law and everyone knew it, that you can't be prosecuted, you can't be depossessed of lands without lawful due process, then lawfully, in your mind, you would be guilty of an offence if you sought to do that without due legal process, by just buying it or tricking somebody or cheating them or swindling them somehow. But if you remove the law that says, that to make it so you could be depossessed or, suffer a punishment and have things taken without legal due process, then who's to say that, anyone Justice of the Peace or any House of Lords person who's got hold of a joystick and, commanding the military and army or a big business corporate entity, if they were pissed off with you, what's to stop them from, thinking, this guy's, got a campaign against me, or this man, I've tried to buy his house off him and he won't sell, So what's to stop him using, if you own a water company or an electricity company, put the prices up so then he can't afford to pay them, and then he has to default on his bank or whatever, or go bankrupt or whatever, and then they have to, can't pay his bills, and then they send the bailiffs round. You using a business to manipulate someone to take their lands off them. Now, the thing is, you could do that secretly and no one could know. But the thing is, if you know that really there was a law that prevented you from doing that, even whether you disclosed it or not, or what your intent in your mind was, it still would be illegal. But if you remove that, so it wasn't actually legal to do certain things to people without a legal due process, regardless of whether anyone knew you were doing it or not. You could kind of secretly do what you want. You know what I mean? This is almost like a lot of these incidents, the right to petition with an advertisement, a promotion or representation, which compels the public to generate public concern. If there's enough public concern, you can have an inquiry, It's almost like Hillsborough, really, I mean, Hillsborough, if you, if you believed in law that there was an immunity, that you could do something, even if it was in the Criminal Damage Act, 1971, if you've got a right, privilege or interest in an immunity, It's not considered as an offence, even if you put people at risk of harm. So, in your mind, if you had the big balls and big money, and you knew there was a law that actually, it made you, empowered you to use the Criminal Damage Act to harm people or put them at risk, you could literally, kill a stadium of people to make a political point. This is the thing. Or, it was an accident, there's a risk of accident, but, I can't be prosecuted. On a larger scale, you could cause Hillsborough, and then if you wanted to, now there's evidence of public concern for stadium safety. Before there wasn't. Now we'll have to get all the stadiums changed and kitted out and whatever. This is like pushing safety camera campaigns and trying to get the public behind it. No one's going to be behind it unless there's a need for it. If you have a load of serious accidents, like in Ireland now with all those Irish people kicking off and that stabbing, there's no need to censor online speech or hate speech until there's a reason to do it. Now, if you have the power and capacity to create an incident and use the media to enhance it, and if you actually use the phones to cause it, but not the way that they mean, actually, because some sort of Royal Anonymous or whatever want to cause an incident, send everyone text messages to meet up, and you could set that up. And you could encourage an incident, or you could manage an incident to happen, and then that would create such a public reaction that the government could say, now there's evidence of public concern, so now we can change, all the censorship laws, You've got to be very careful with these political people, particularly when they've got the 77th Brigade and the Army and so forth, and they can, do a lot of things now, tweak a lot of buttons and change a lot of things and claim that it's us, claim it's our fault. It can be diabolically, strategically orchestrated, So, and this is why we've got political rights. This is why we've got political rights and freedoms, so we can challenge the government on those decisions and so forth. The interesting thing I've got to say to the Irish Parliament is this. And I made 2 videos yesterday and I got a bit annoyed in them, but this is very, very important, right? When the movie Braveheart came out, and it's been through the board of certification, and, it's been given a certification, and people are allowed to watch it up to a certain age, and they put it out at the cinemas, and it's been a lot of money gone into it, and, it's an exciting new movie. After that movie, a load of Scottish people started going around attacking English people with English accents and, assaulting them and stuff like that. Loads of Scots were ravid. Now, that's from a movie, right? No one banned those movies. No one stopped them being made. And no one said that they're a danger or concern. Yet now, in Ireland, on absolute coincidental time of, the Pugs singer McGowan's death, passing away, and it mysteriously snowed as well. He apparently he's well known for singing a Christmas song, The Fairy Tale in New York. It hadn't snowed before Christmas for ages, just snowed at the same time, and there was a massive incident out, right? Now the Irish government are saying, we can't have this internet freedom of speech because it's, provoking people to go out and assault and attack people. Well, why didn't they ban movies after Braveheart? Why didn't they ban movies after Braveheart? Alex Salmond doesn't even want to be part of England. He wants to separate. If you can't hate a political party, then you can't get people to stop voting for it. If you don't like a political party, you don't vote for them, right? If you don't like a political party, then you don't vote for them. And if you don't like any political party, you don't vote for any. Now, usually, right, that's enough. I mean, they haven't started saying they want to make it illegal just to not like something. Now, if you actively oppose, if not detest, a particular political party, even one that's in government or running for government, then you don't just not vote, you actually vote against them. You oppose, which is making a statement that you downright object to them and their, not only their beliefs, not only their politics, maybe even them themselves. You are saying not only that you won't vote because you don't like them, you are actually actively opposing them. It's more than saying I'm not going to vote because I don't like any of these parties. It's more than not liking them. It's further than dislike. If you don't like politics, you don't vote. Now, you're going further than dislike when you go over to acting in an opposition. Now, it's true there are ways to go around opposition which are civilised, not, like rabid wild animals stabbing away or whatever. But chanting and, assembling, so they say peaceably, it's already unlawful to assemble unpeaceably and, riots and so forth, apparently. So why would you need any other further laws, Now, but when it comes to, them saying about typing it or doing it online, this is what I'd say, right? Too little, too late, or too much, too late, far too much. There's a guy, saying on the internet on Verbs' channel that, they've tried this multiple times all through history before, and they've never managed to, fully censor everything. I am extremely concerned why, after the film Braveheart, and there were Scottish people going around attacking English people, I am extremely alarmed and concerned why there wasn't more action from the government, because the government are claiming that it's their business now. But, it's not our business, that's the film certification board's fault, or the police's fault for not enforcing it too much. Now the government's stepping in when it comes to what people are saying and doing on the internet. Oh, Johnny Briggs is typing this. Donny Sonsworth is typing that. Paul and Peter and Sam and John are typing that. Since when is it any of the government's business what anyone's typing? It's the police's business when it comes to law, right? But now, all of a sudden, we're interested in what people are typing online. They're not interested in what adverts they're putting online. They're not interested in forcing people to wait 10 seconds and all these ridiculous consent, submit, accept to consumerism, accept to adverts. Well, I've already paid for the phone, I've already bought the phone, and then it's like the phone's already kitted out for ads, but yet I ain't got the phone for free, Why weren't the government saying, oh, it's our business. It's us. It's us. All the Scottish people are attacking English people and Braveheart. We can't have films like this. We can't have these movie producers, Ridley Scott and Steven Spielberg coming out with these films. It's causing people are getting injured. People are being attacked. We'll have to stop them. We'll have to change the certification. It's our responsibility, not the certification board. It's us. We're responsible, right? You could even say that Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmon are even provoking tension between Scottish and English people, right? So I'll say to Ireland, not only is it too little too late, it's far too much over the line of rights. Now, the problem is that people aren't voting for these parties. And the majority of people don't only not like these parties, they're damn right opposed to them. And it's those people that they're desperately attempting to silence and quieten. Now, when we're turning up and watching the movies and eating the popcorn and stuffing his faces and going to their government council-approved drive-thrus and building plots and care homes and cinemas and so forth and stuffing his faces full of food, they're happy. They're happy. even happy when we're going around headbutting people coming out of Braveheart movies, right? Why? Because they're making a ton of money out of it. They're pals, but they're not making a ton of money out of us when we go on the internet telling them that they should get out of government and show off. Now, they need to get real. Because they're just doing it because they're not winning. Now, it doesn't really matter. Safety and policing has got nothing to do with what people are typing online at all whatsoever. Because there's worse influences with the movies. How did they even get the ideas for knives and guns and driving off, reservoir overflows on Harley Davidson motorbikes and action films? They sent us there to watch it and soak it up and live in the imagination. They've even got Grand Theft Auto games where they're glamorising stealing cars. They haven't banned that yet. And they could have banned that in 2010 when Gordon Brown was in government. Too little, too late. Why didn't they ban Grand Theft Auto game? Oh, it's encouraging people to go around and smash car windows through and steal cars, but oh, don't worry, they're doing it on their computer for fun. Well, they're now having hate incitement on their computer for fun. It's better doing it on the computer for fun than going out and doing it on the streets. Maybe they should encourage them to do it on the computer and keep inside. There's something wrong with these ministers in Ireland. They haven't got a figment of a clue what the hell is going on or how to manage a country. They wouldn't know how to manage a country if they had a school star on their chest saying, I've got the Managing a Country award. It's like Rees-Mogg with a knighthood. You know, what's he got a knighthood for? You know, what's Boris Johnson giving him a knighthood for? It seems like Boris Johnson might end up giving it's a miracle that he ain't giving the entire Tory party a knighthood. You know, if we all had knights' armour, we wouldn't be getting stabbed in the streets in Ireland because we'd all be armoured and protected. Why don't the Irish government just make it compulsory they've got everyone wearing stupid cycle helmets and cycle lanes everywhere. Might as well have everyone walking around with a bulletproof vest. The amount of tax we're getting charged. And Jeff Bezos could afford to buy everyone in Ireland a bulletproof vest. Mayor Toosey's got a bulletproof vest who's doing Toosey News now. You know, too little too late. They weren't interested in riots when it comes to movies because, it's Jeffrey Epstein again, isn't it? Oh, it turned out. Oh, I'm going. Oh, Biden's coming over here now to Ireland to see me. Joe, come on, let's go watch a movie now. Big movie stars, DeLorean. Oh,